Good Sunday afternoon. This is Dee with Critical Break. It is September the 23rd, 2018, and it is a little after 3 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I'm broadcasting, streaming a little bit later than usual. Crazy morning. Crazy night, actually. Welcome to fall. Officially, the fall equinox was yesterday, along with a fairly full moon. And I actually went to bed much earlier than I normally do. And that was an effort to spend time in the astral realm, basically. I've had a lot of interesting things going on around here over the past, I don't know, about 3 weeks or so, concerning visions that I'm getting. A lot of it has to do with basically what feels like plans being laid out, such as maps. It involves maps. Also, some very interesting text, as in books that have illustrations, and the illustrations actually move like a video, which is interesting. And it's a book. It's not an internet or anything. It is an actual book, and the illustrations move. But a lot of interesting teamwork going on via the astral realm. And that's been going on for weeks now. I hadn't really talked about it a whole lot, but I thought I'd bring it up and just let you know there's so much going on behind the scenes that I don't even talk about. Just because it's kind of an everyday thing for me. I guess I should bring those things up more often, but just kind of an FYI to everybody, that's been going on for a while now. Last night was odd. I actually had a real regular dream, which I don't have very often anymore. And it was crazy. I was at my older sister's house, and for some reason, I was helping her do things around the house, and her dishwasher was full of Tupperware. That sounds crazy. It was a regular dream. So regular dreams are a little bit, they're different. Anyway, she said, I asked her, I said, where do you want me to put all this Tupperware? Because I was going to put it away for her. And she said, just throw it away. I don't have room for it. And I'm like, throw it away? She's like, yeah, I just don't have anywhere to put it. And I'm like, okay. And it was just one of those weird, just regular dreams that you get. Wasn't one of the visions or anything like that. Like I said, I haven't had a regular dream in a long time, but I had one last night. And something keeps tickling my nose. Anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. I did some footage. I had a bunch of turkey buzzards outside today, and there was tons of them, and they were hovering really low, and I'm like, what is going on? What died? And finally my curiosity got the best of me, and I took a little jaunt to approximate the area where they seemed to be hovering around. And there was indeed a dead bird, a large one, probably a turkey, I think it looked like, possibly. turkey or a hawk that had been killed along the side of the gravel road that runs off to the east here, and just off the side of the road there. And I'm like, okay, yikes. That explains why there was so many of them. You should see the footage. There was a bunch of them down low, but there was a huge amount of them I didn't even realize up higher. And when I was doing the video, I was looking around and I looked up and there was a whole bunch of them, tons of them, over one little tiny carcass. A little, well, it was a big bird, but that's a lot of birds that wanted to feed on that little carcass. But I got some video of that. That was interesting. Let's see, what else interesting has been going on? I had something knocking about my bathroom last night. Clear knocking sounds, a couple of different times. Nothing ever came of it, but it was definitely beyond the ordinary little creaks and sounds a house makes. What else? Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, during the last video, somebody had asked in the chat, and I missed the question. Who was the other person in the portraits of the Annunciation? That is Mary. For anybody who was wondering who the other person was that Gabriel was seeing in, the representations in those oil paintings, that is Mary. So to answer the question, let's see. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to go over. Maybe I'll think of it as we go along. But today, I wanted to focus on you all. You are, if you're watching this, you're likely got the same genetics, which I've talked about that in previous videos, the MTHFR genetics, and how that particular genetics is under attack. And there's a reason. And it's because if you were going to try to control the world, think about this. If you were going to try to control the world, what would you do? First of all, you'd have to keep the population in a controllable amount. That's one thing. Then there's who, if you were going to eliminate somebody, who would you eliminate? The ones that could cause you the most trouble. Guess what? MTHFR genetics are under extreme heavy attack in about every conceivable way I can think of. Via the food, via the medications, via a whole lot of things. And there's a reason. It's because those of us with MTHFR, many of us have abilities. Those abilities range from simply having a knowing and being an empath, because it seems like 100% of them are empaths. It ranges from that to being able to manipulate energy in various fashions, which is types of kinesis, and much more. Abilities to heal others, even if we can't seem to heal ourselves, which I've got a theory about that, but I'll say that for another video. But they want to keep you from, think about this. You've got these people that are gifted and could cause you a great deal of trouble. And so that just, 2 plus 2 equal 4, you know? The MTHFR genetics is a very special type of being on this planet. I surmise that you are indeed made in the image of the Creator, and because of your abilities, you are definitely, they've kept you sick for a reason, and your genetics under attack, so that you can't be effective, or trying to keep you from being effective. And what I mean by effective is, I think I know there's a tipping point that I keep talking about. And it's those of you that have this genetics being awake, aware of what you actually are, and preparing for your ascension. They're trying to keep you from doing that, because when you all are drugged down, it drags down the entire population. So what's happening here is very strategic on the side of the virus, and we just have to overcome it. And part of that is dealing with your healing in general because of that attack that's been going on against your genetics. So we need to heal mind, body, and spirit, and help you gain your ascension. And that involves, all those, heart, body, soul, the whole thing. And we have a limited time to get that done. And I don't know the exact time frame. I just know what I keep being told by Gabriel. TikTok, time's up. So what I wanted to work on today is to help you. I've talked about the return to innocence, and that God, Lord, the real one, he doesn't need your confessions, because he is who he is. He already knows. Why would you need to confess something to him? What you need to do is take everything that you've ever done wrong, realize that the virus that's going on and the trauma that you've endured since your birth, or before actually, made many of you make poor decisions about certain things. And there's things you did that you feel ashamed about. And it's like Adonai told me, there's nothing beyond redemption. And he's got his hand out, even to the ones aiding the virus. And what you do is you take evaluation and stock of those things that you did. You think about them and go, oh yeah, I did that. That wasn't good. And really own it. And then release yourself from it. And then the next steps are to remember the things that you did right. And remember, I've talked about that. Something as simple as a smile to somebody that needed that smile are good things. And then connecting with your true innocence, the person that you were as a child before all the massive amounts of trauma, the child that knew instinctively something was not right with this place, that child that's curious and wants to learn, and there's nothing in the world that isn't possible. You're wanting to return to that. And it's the return of innocence, literally. Then you have, you just keep repeating that process till you get rid of all the guilt or shame. Just get rid of it. You own it, then chuck it off because you're done. You're done with that. Once you've really owned it, boom, it's gone. That's it. So your redemption is in just owning what happened and get past it, push past it, and then returning to your true innocence, the real you. A lot of things happen when you do that. You'll regain memories that you hadn't thought about or totally forgotten about. You will start to remember past lives because incarnation is a thing, reincarnation. You'll you'll blossom. And today I wanted to spend some time with you guys on helping you through that process some more. Because I know some of you are you feel like you're stumbling. If you're doing the process, you're not stumbling. Okay. I just wanted to tell you that. So, but some more things that to help you realize and really take in fully what it is you're doing. And remember, when you return to your innocence, you start coming from a place of your innocence all the time. Remember what I said, once you start connecting, keep connecting until it's a solid connection and you bring the real you out for the whole world to see. Okay. And then you try to stay there and continue to stay there in that pure innocence is the best way to put it. Okay. I'm going to look at chat, see how everybody's doing. I know that was a long intro. And like I said, this information is for all religions, all races, all backgrounds, doesn't matter. Because if you're MTHFR, you've been born into, you could be anywhere on this planet, literally. Anyway, I'm going to look at chat, see how everybody's doing. Hello, Sir Scotty. Hello, Sir Tony. Great to see you. For you, your child comes out when you come home to see your dogs. Yes. Yeah. They have a way of bringing that out, don't they? Now it's just a matter of keeping it out all the time. Yeah, that's a good question, right, Sir Scotty? Why is she washing the Tupperware? She's going to throw it away. Yeah. Just a weird dream. I actually had an actual dream, not a vision, which is nice. Yeah. Yeah. Animals are pure. They live in their innocence all the time. And that's what we're trying to achieve and stay in it. You'll get your ascension if you do that. Yeah, it's hard to keep it out all the time because you're surrounded by people that are thoroughly indoctrinated with the virus. It makes our lives very difficult, like they weren't already, right? Anyway, I have some shares I was going to do, share screen with you guys and kind of go over what I'm talking about today, which is your heart, which is where your true you is at, and help explain some things. And maybe it'll help you connect better, I'm hoping. There's many on the planet already doing this. Many awakening. This is a great awakening. So I'm going to do a share screen and show you about your heart and about the real you and how it works, kind of, to help because that's the most important part of my mission is you all. I've got other things I have to do too, but you guys are like the most important bottom line. As a matter of fact, part of the reason I was late streaming today was deciding what to stream. And I got told in my head, telepathy, the most important thing that you're looking at right now. And I was like, okay, that's easy. So today it's about your heart brain. And there's a couple other just interesting tidbits I was going to share with you too real quick before I started with the heart brain. Okay. Anyway, here we go. Off to the races again. Okay. The first thing, when we were going over some of the material before, this popped up, the sigillium dye, or DI. I just thought it was fascinating because it's a diagram of the heavens, basically. And something that was interesting is, you know how some deities, entities, whatever you want to call it, have multiple names. Well, on this particular diagram, which was done, what year was that done? It says here somewhere, 13th century. It lists 7 angels. Now, these are angels and archangels, so not all of them are archangels. Catziel, Saquiel, Amiel, Raphael, Aniel. Okay, same planet, same thing with Phanuel. So, and then Michael and Gabriel. I thought that was interesting because here we go with Anne again. We've got in Anna. We've got my middle name, Anne. We've got prophetess Anna. So the Anne theme runs heavy here, which is interesting. But I just thought I'd share that with you guys. And like I said, here we go with the Anns again. Okay. Once again, Phanuel is not the name used. Anna L is, and it relates to Haniel, Aniel. So it just depends on what religion, what country at the time, whatever. Yeah, it's a thing, as you guys know, the names being changed over and over again on many of the deities out there. Anyway, we're going to get on with you all and what's important. There is a little brain in your heart. Yeah, that's right. You have a brain in your heart. Think about this. You know the little cartoons with the angel and the devil on the shoulder? What it's really representing is the brain in your head and the brain in your heart. And if you really pay attention when you're thinking, where are your thoughts coming from? Are they coming from your head or your heart? Because they can come from either or. And there's science to back this up. So, cardiac ganglion. Okay, this is an expanded view. The heart has neurons, just like the brain, and it's small. And I suggest the reason it's so small is because it's not getting used. Because the way society is set up, you're supposed to use your brain and not your heart. And that saying goes, I mean, all the time. You hear people saying it all the time. Don't think with your heart and get you into trouble. Problem is, if everybody was thinking from that space, there wouldn't be a problem. Now, part of what I call the return to innocence is using the little brain that's in your heart instead of using the one in your head. And I was just going to go over this microscopic picture showing the interconnectivity between cardiac ganglia and the human heart. The light blue thin structures on the image on the left are multiple axons coursing between the connecting ganglia. The image on the right is an expanded view. The ganglia is shown in the rectangular box in the image on the left. So it's an expanded view of this one here. This is the intrinsic cardiac ganglia. It is a little brain. It even looks like one, right? A lot of people don't realize that when they're coming from their heart space and using it to do their thinking, a lot of things change. And it's part of your return to innocence is thinking from here and not in your head. And if you really sit back and examine, you can tell when you're thinking from which one. You can tell which one you're thinking from. And you can actually feel the difference. This is a highly magnified view of the cardiac intrinsic ganglia taken from a confocal microscope, which is able to take images layer by layer and then build a 3D image. Ganglia are made up of groups of nerve cells, somata, that exist outside of the brain and spinal cord. Each of the smaller circular structures show is the cell body of an individual neuron. Okay. This is a cross section. This image represents a cross section through an intrinsic cardiac ganglion. In the center, there's a mass of dendrites which interconnect individual neurons. This is the ideal structure for an independent neural processing unit. You have your aorta, superior left atrial, superior right atrial, posterior. Well, it's posterolateral. But this just shows you the location and distribution of the intrinsic cardiac ganglia. Pretty interesting, huh? This drawing shows the location and distribution of intrinsic cardiac ganglia. Note how they are distributed, particularly around the orifices of major vessels. So the little brain is literally distributed throughout. Now this picture of intrinsic cardiac afferent neurons was taken with a confocal microscope. An afferent neuron is one that sends information to another neuron. These sensory neurons detect the local mechanical and biochemical changes that occurs in cardiac tissue. They send this information to the rest of the intrinsic cardiac nervous systems and in many cases to the brain. Anyway, as you can see, your heart indeed has a brain. There is a lot of information regarding how it all works. But if you really sit there and think and purposely direct your thoughts coming out of your heart and see how that feels, I think you'll find it very interesting because you can actually tell when you're thinking with your heart. It's really interesting. And you want to come from there as much as possible. That's part of bringing the real you out. For centuries, the heart has been considered the source of emotion, courage, and wisdom. At the Heart Math Institute Research Center, we're exploring the psychological mechanisms by which the heart communicates with the brain, thereby influencing information processing, perceptions, emotions, and health. We are asking questions such as, why do people experience the feeling or sensation of love and other positive emotional states in the area of the heart? And what are the physiological ramifications of these emotions? How do stress and different emotional states affect the autonomic nervous system and hormonal and immune systems, the heart and brain? Now, something that's interesting is you all with this MTHFR genetics, because your genetics are under attack, it's messing up your autonomic nervous system. Remember, I was talking to Corey about having the central nervous system damaged and misfiring, literally. What I was speaking of is the autonomic nervous system. And it can cause, because of the damage done to our genetics, because of that assault we're under, it can cause all kinds of crazy stuff to go wrong. And it literally short circuits. Even things, your autonomic nervous system regulates things like blinking, simple things like your heartbeat, your blood pressure, even breathing is a thing. Mine was so damaged that I didn't breathe. I had to think about breathing. Most people take that for granted. I literally have to think about it. And I've noticed my mom has the same thing. It's just part of the damage to the genetics that's been done. But that's what's interesting, is that just solidifies the fact that they're trying to render you ineffective. Okay? The virus. It's going specifically after us for a reason. And if your autonomic nervous system is not functioning properly, you're not going to run to your highest potential. They're trying to keep you from attaining your connection with your true self, the real you. So, over the years, we have experimented with different psychological and sociological measures, but it was consistently heart rate variability or heart rhythms that stood out as the most dynamic and reflective of inner emotional states and stress. It became clear that negative emotions lead to increased disorder in the heart's rhythms and in the autonomic nervous system, thereby adversely affecting the rest of the body. In contrast, positive emotions create increased harmony and coherence in heart rhythms and improve balance in the nervous system. The health implications are easy to understand. Disharmony in the nervous system leads to inefficiency and increased stress on the heart and other organs, while harmonious rhythms are more efficient and less stressful to the body's systems. More intriguing are the dramatic positive changes that can occur when techniques are applied that increase coherence and rhythmic patterns of heart rate variability. These include shifts in perception and the ability to reduce stress and deal more effectively with difficult situations. We observed that the heart was acting as though it had a mind of its own and was profoundly influencing the way we perceive and respond to the world. In essence, it appeared that the heart was affecting intelligence and awareness. And that's what the virus is trying to keep you from, this information. Okay? Because they damaged your autonomic nervous system. The answer to many of our original questions now provide a scientific basis to explain how and why the heart affects mental clarity, creativity, emotional balance, and personal effectiveness. Looky there, the word effectiveness. Exactly the word I keep using to keep you from being effective in completing your missions. Our research and that of others indicate that the heart is far more than a single pump. The heart is, in fact, a highly complex, self-organized information processing center with its own functional brain that communicates with and influences the cranial brain via the nervous system, hormonal system, and other pathways. These influences profoundly affect brain function and most of the body's major organs and ultimately determine the quality of life. And they actually have a book that they've done called Science of the Heart. And there's some interesting things in that book. I will provide a link. The book's free. You can download it, or you can just look at the page. I'll put a link in the description, and you can just look at the actual website. Has all that information, but it talks about the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous system, and it regulates blood pressure and all kinds of things. I mean, like I said, the autonomic nervous system is very, very much a problem with MTHFR. And I know it makes it more difficult for you to connect with your innocence because you're battling with all the different all the different insults to your genetics via all the different ways they've been attacking it via putting folic acid in all the foods since 1998, vaccinations, medications, because people with MTHFR do not methylate. That means process things in their system like other people. Our systems are wired differently. And those things don't affect the other people, but they highly affect those of us with MTHFR. But I will include a link in the description so that you all can take a look at this about cardiology and the brain on the heart and all the different things it talks about in here. It's really quite fascinating. It shows the communication pathways. And you might even be able to spot where your biggest problem is happening. Because there's certain things that happen when your autonomic nervous system is not running efficiently. But I also thought that with you all knowing that your heart indeed has a brain, and the whole angel and devil thing on your shoulder, that's the two different brains talking. And it's like, which one do you listen to? Is a good way to explain it. But I think this information will help you all. And there's 12 chapters, and they all look like this, so they're easy to digest. I was going to see, there's a couple of places that, even in mainstream, oh my goodness, Huffington Post, right? Even did an article on let your heart talk to your brain. So, so this is not pie in the sky ideas. Your heart indeed has a brain, and we need to come from that space all the time, is the idea, instead of using our heads so much. Because your heart, your abilities to sense things comes from that space. And the brain is there. The brain is more the ego, is a good way to put it. And you don't want to get rid of your ego. Like I told you all, your ego is very important because it's what protects you. That's your self-preservation. So, you know, like I told you, the New Age movement is a psyop. They keep telling you, get rid of your ego. No, don't get rid of your ego. Don't do that. That's a bad idea. That's your self-protection mechanism. Don't want to get rid of that. But you do want to operate out of the heart space as much as possible. And excuse the phone. It'll just ring a couple of times and it'll be done. But this, you know, is even in mainstream, they're talking about this. Okay. It's composed of 40,000 neurons that can sense, feel, learn, and remember. So fascinating stuff, right? Sorry about that phone. It never fails. It rings when I do a stream, almost every time. And the rest of the time, it's pretty quiet around here. And another article about how the human heart functions as a second brain. But I just wanted to show you all that, and I'll put a link down in the description so you all be able to access this information as well. So many it's great to see all of you. Happy Sunday. Happy fall. My favorite time of year. Definitely. See if anybody has any questions. Okay. Doesn't everything in the body have a brain now? No, just the heart and the head. News to you, huh? It's so good to see all of you. So basically, yes, you want to, when I keep saying to connect with your true innocence, the real you, that means operating out of that heart brain instead of the head brain so much. You still need the head brain because that's ego. You still need that. But try to operate where your heart brain's doing most of the work. It needs exercise. It's been sorely neglected is the best way to put it. How do I sleep if I have to think about? Yes. Um, I do have a machine that helps for breathing at night. The problem is I'm allergic to the tubing and the mask that are required for those machines. And yeah, they've done many sleep studies on me because I don't breathe. And it's not because, you know how some people, they get overweight and it closes off their airway. That's not what's going on with me. What's going on with me is my autonomic nervous system. So there's not a whole lot that can be done. I end up not breathing. That's just a thing. But as I've been healing, I've noticed that my sleep is better than it used to be. It's better quality. So I must be breathing on my own much better than I did. Do you think the stomach has a brain too? Are you sure that's not the heart brain that you're sensing? Let's see. Um, okay, the question is, what if our true existence was to come to this world to bring knowledge back to the Milky Way galaxy? I think that those of us with MTHFR, I think our role, our basic overall mission is to heal what's happening here. I think as we heal, it heals everything else. So your mom has to wear oxygen all the time? Yeah. Stomach brain. Okay. I'll have to look into that. But the heart definitely has one, and that's where we should be operating from the majority of the time. Like I said, you still need the head brain, the ego part, because that self protection lies inside ego. So that is necessary. But try to do everything else out of your heart space. That's part of the return to innocence. And if you really sit back and think about it, you can tell when you're thinking out of your head or you can tell when you're thinking out of your heart. Wouldn't hurt to have an air purifier. Yeah. I don't have one. Don't have one of those. I've thought about it, but affording one and yeah, it just hasn't been an option. Is there anything else anybody would like to talk about today? I really wanted to put this up about um, your heart brain because I thought it would help you all on your path if you understood that there's actually thinking from there is part of that process. I'll check it out. Thank you. Anyway, it's going to be a short one today. I just really wanted to focus mostly on you all in this and, making you aware your heart actually thinks. And that's why when you have feelings, emotional feelings, they feel like they're coming from that area because they are. Um, I saw that real quick on Facebook, Sir Tony, when you asked me about that, and I was gonna do the stream, so I thought, I hadn't thought about it. I hadn't thought about using Twitch at all. Um, I've got a Twitch account. I just never use it. Um, I'll look into it though. If our existence is to heal, why is our world full of hate and destruction because of money and power? That is the virus. Their war and greed was introduced and it wasn't supposed to be. And that's part of my mission here, is to fix that. And actually, all of you are quite involved in that process, because as you awaken, you help awaken others like us, and it turns things around. And there is, an ascension process that's happening. So, see you later, Sir Scotty. So, yeah, the agenda is to keep everybody divided and keep their eye off the prize. And the prize is your ascension, your soul, your sovereign. And you also have to look at this with ascension. There's people that aren't going to make the ascension, and they will be the ones stuck with the virus for eternity. And I wouldn't want to be the one stuck with them, because it'd be stuck in a situation that's as bad or worse than what's currently going on. It'd be worse, actually, because there'd be nothing to offset it. It'll just be true and utter hell on earth. And the best way I can describe it is the ascension process is we're getting divided away from the truly unredeemable negative, is the best way I can put it. I wouldn't want to get left behind. Yeah, because they feed off of us. They feed from our energy, the negative, the virus. They feed off of your labor. They feed off of your everything, all your energy in every way. And so they want to keep as many as they can, because that's their food. So they're desperate to hang on to anybody that they can before the split happens. So keep that in mind. So, you have to make your ascension process one of the number one things in your life. One thing that I'd really like to do is start doing meditations together, because individually we're powerful, but together we're much more powerful. It's like it's like I explained to you in some of the other videos. Together we're way more powerful. And as a community, as a group, we could affect a lot of things. And I think helping each other heal on a mental, spiritual level is one thing we can do. And I also think that just as I have abilities for healing others, I think if we join with each other, not only would it help with our souls, but with our physical, actual bodies. I think we could perhaps heal each other to a good degree and make us much more effective. So I'd like to start doing some, and I'm just trying to figure out how to set that up, because it'd be really neat if certain ones could like join me on video. You wouldn't have to have your video turned on. You could just have your icon, but join via voice and do it, and then do like a rotation kind of thing. But people in the chat could do it along with us. They just wouldn't be in the room together. Because I think you can only get like 12 people in at a time. So we could just rotate through and do a mutual meditation together, working on those very things and on other things, right? And start affecting some change for us personally and some change for the planet in general. How you know you have that type of blood? Well, the MTHFR genetics. If you look up MTHFR and you look at all the different things that can go wrong based on that, let's put it this way. If you have fibromyalgia, a lot of mood disorders are tied to that genetics. If you have autoimmune disorders, like any type of autoimmune disorder, there's a good chance that you have MTHFR genetics. So just look at your family. Allergies are a big clue if you have allergies. So there's a lot of different ways it manifests. When that genetic code becomes attacked, it manifests in a whole bunch of different ways. And they don't even know all of them yet, but you can just about bank if you have allergies of any kind that you're MTHFR and much more. But if you look up that genetics, and then all the attached, a lot of people have, they're diagnosed with fibromyalgia, irritable bowel syndrome, gluten intolerance, allergies in general, Parkinson's disease, multiple sclerosis, mast cell activation disorder, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, posterior orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, cancer, just anything that, that is autoimmune related is likely MTHFR. So diabetes is another one. So look at your family history, because some of you may not have had your genetics affected as heavily as some others. And so you may not be exhibiting some of the signs, but you may have family members that do. So let's see, you believe different theory. I believe our DNA changes continuous, sly and wakes up our memory. The DNA does change. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you don't understand what's going on here. The DNA is definitely being changed, but our ascension process involves the repair of that DNA that's been damaged. Yep. So, anybody have any other questions or anything? Remember, you guys are the snowballs that start the avalanche. Okay? Do your inner work. Get rid of all that old stuff that's weighing you down and work out of your heart space all the time. Let it shine. And don't be, they make the way the system is set up by the virus, they make you feel like if you operate out of your heart space, you're doing something wrong. But that's really not, that's not, well, obviously, it's not right. So try to keep that in mind. Sir Tony, you said not really. What does that pertain to? I'm not. Oh, questions? You didn't have any? Okay. Anyway, I wanted to keep it short and give you guys a break. I'll try to set something up where probably on the Sundays we'll start doing that group thing, and I'll try to um, keep them shorter like this, but maybe even a little bit shorter, and then just give you links like I'm going to do today, but we'll actually do the group thing. So maybe next Sunday, plan on doing that, and we can meditate together as a group. And I think that will help you. That might speed all of you along on your process as well. I think it couldn't hurt. That's for sure. So I will put links in the description here in a few minutes after I get done here. And remember, keep reconnecting with your heart space, with the true you. Okay. Anyway, I love you guys from my inner heart space. Okay. Make sure you let your inner heart space shine in every direction. Project love at the planet, at others, into the heavens, in every direction. Anyway, I love you guys from my inner true heart space. Out past the stars and back millions of times, over and over again. You're very important, more important than you could ever realize. Anyway, have a lovely Sunday evening, and I will see you again very, very soon. All right? Take care. Have a really, really good week coming up. Happy fall.